So today we're here with Adam Leonard, or Lenny, bit of a local hero in Ireland and one of the more successful players of late. So yeah, just jumping in things. You've been playing VS for how long, and what tops do you have with it?
So I kind of started playing Vanquish kind of somewhat around kind of release when it was kind of bad, we'll say, because you were trying to play you're trying to play all the terrible fires, you're trying to play Pluton, all these terrible cards.
Yeah,
And I skipped Premier events for a couple of years because I just didn't have the motivation or the financial backing.
yeah,
And then Euros rolled around, I had my invite, I said, oh, I'll go for fun. And then Vanquish ended up being playable for that. So I was like, this is unbelievable timing. This is perfect. So yeah, I've been playing Vanquish for a long time. I've a lot of experience with it. And I hope I can give some kind of insight that'll help people.
awesome. So you top 8 with last year's. That's like the deck I'm showing on screen currently. Obviously, this was pre-banners, as you can now see, with like all the 1-0s and stuff. That got hit pretty crazy. We've discussed enough camera a second ago how this is a very clean deck in hindsight. But yeah, apart from your love for VS, what made you play this deck so much over the last year and a bit?
Yeah, like I like the playstyle of the deck a lot. I like that a lot of your hands are kind of more dependent on what else you have in hand, right? Like it doesn't play like a lot of other I suppose, well, this version of the deck was kind of fairly mid-range. Current version of the deck is like pretty much just combo as much combo as it can possibly be. This
Yeah,
deck was pretty close to mid-range. But a lot of your cards rely on other cards in your hand being good, right? Like Holy Sue relies on you having a fire plus a dark or a dark
yeah,
plus an earth to
yeah,
actually be playable. Um, like cards like Jowlong in certain hands are insane, in certain other hands they're horrendous bricks. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I like that aspect of the deck. I like that like every card in your hand matters, and I like that every card in your hand influences the way that you play and the way that you sequence your lines.
yeah. And then obviously the monster that is K9 came across, and then we had a couple of hits, and this is your most recent list from like Bologna. Then, so obviously there's a lot of changes. As we can see from the other one, there's a lot of 1-0s that are now kind of gone. The deck's changed a lot, and there's quite a few, I guess you could say, innovations and stuff. So talk us through your list on this one a wee bit.
Yeah, so like I suppose with the release of the Canine cards, this deck with the release of the Canine cards and then the subsequent ban list, the limited
Yeah,
Raz and limited Sticker Soul, this deck then inevitably kind of without there being much choice in the matter became more of a Canine oriented deck than a Vanquish Soul oriented deck,
yeah,
which I like and hate. Um I think a lot of the Canine cards are quite unfair, particularly Ripper, I think is quite absurd.
yeah.
Um but I think this deck has become a lot more focused on like the rank 5 kind of toolbox than it would have been before, and it's a lot more focused on your turn 0 plays, right? Like your
Yeah.
Azunas, your Holy Sues. That's the reason I played the Rescue Ace cards. I think in hindsight those were
Yes.
bordering on awful. They were barely fine in my opinion for Euros. I didn't even play them for Euros, but now I just think they're unplayable. I was trying to find a way to like circumvent the loss of the fires from the one Raisin, and I just think it wasn't worth it. In hindsight, I think those should have just been any three other hand traps, to be honest. Maybe the three Nib that are in my side or something. They
Yeah,
were
that makes
just
sense.
really bad, to be
I was gonna say,
honest.
how did the 2-1 feel? That feels painful. If you
Mm.
if you know what I mean.
Yeah, the thought process behind it was like I was going into the event knowing that like Rescuer's Impulse was not the best card in the game anyway.
Yeah,
Um, so I wanted to like kind of limit playing as many bad cards as possible. I know obviously statistically you want to play more of the cards that get you to the brick
yeah,
than playing a closer number to the brick, because then it'll feel like you're drawing the brick more than you're drawing the card that you're playing the brick for.
yeah,
Um, it didn't really feel like it mattered too much because, to be honest with you, regardless, felt like anytime I drew either impulse or attacker, it was terrible.
yeah. Fair enough.
Like it felt like it never really mattered because anytime I drew impulse, I didn't feel great about it. I think I resolved fire attacker once or twice.
Okay.
And it still didn't feel very special because at the end of the day, you are just throwing a fire from your hand away of a fire on the board, which again, this deck plays with its hand a lot more than it plays with its board,
Yeah,
right?
that's a fair
It doesn't
point.
have the fire attack is also level 6, which makes it feel even worse that it doesn't have that kind of like tertiary synergy with the Canine cards, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That makes sense. Yeah, because I mean it's a heavy package, isn't it? Now, like 9 cards. How do you find Noroi? Do you find that to be pretty broken as well?
Norai's a funny one because I've seen a lot of people like playing like multiple copies of like up to like two, including up to three. I've seen multiple
Yeah,
people playing 3 copies of Noroi. The reason I played one is like obviously it's a starter, so like that's good because this deck doesn't have very many of those. But I think it's one of the worst ones because your bridge from the Canine cards into your Vanquish Soul cards, which is in my opinion the stronger engine, like the engine that's more likely to win you games, the engine that's more likely to grind you out of games, the engine that's more likely to like keep you alive in games.
yeah,
The bridge from K9 into that engine is Saryuja, which is I know obviously the chance of like the Saryuja missing is like minimal, but that
Yeah,
chance is still there. Right. So
yeah,
that's why I was thinking that Noroi might not be the best one. Also, Noroi loses to Imperm, Impulse, Fua, Ash. Like those are all cards I thought would be in the format.
yeah. That
So I
makes
was like,
sense.
I want to minimize the card I'm using my normals when I'm losing to those cards, if at all possible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So would there be many changes you would make with this deck then?
There'd be a few, yeah. I'd play multiple Lupus, I think, in hindsight. That card was very, very, very strong, and
Interesting.
I think going into the event, like turn zero Typhon was very, very powerful because if you make a turn zero Typhon into a lot of the decks, like even into Mitsurugi Yomi, right? They
Yeah.
can't beat it. Like there's nothing they can do. They can't have that card. So I guess the whole debate, right, was Tiras was another card that I was going to play. I couldn't find a Tiras in
Okay.
time for the event, annoyingly. Typhon accomplished a similar-ish purpose, right? Obviously, the difference was Tiras could theoretically pop the Mitsurugi trap, the Great Purification, to make the Zeus actually resolve.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Again, I think that was all kind of theoretical and hypothetical because usually you don't know where the Purification is set, so you're blind trying to snipe a back row.
Yeah.
Um, if you're good at doing that, then like sure, TRS is better, but like I don't like the 50-50 odds of it. And I think Typhon overall is just a better card because it prevents Murakumo triggering Engrave, that kind of thing. If they have to start with the Mitsurugi engine, it stops Zombie Vampire as well.
Yeah. It turns off Leon as well, which is pretty good.
Yeah, it's just a very, very blanket good card. And also
Yeah.
like there were times where like Lupus would get called by it and I would feel like my Azunas that were in my deck were doing nothing anymore. So like having
Yeah.
additional copies of Lupus feels reasonable, doesn't feel like an unreasonable thing. Maybe in hindsight, maybe more Noroi would have been a thing. The Impulse, the Rescuers cards would have been gone 100%.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I didn't think they were anything at all. Other than that, I'm relatively happy, I think. Especially for the format it was going into.
Yeah. I mean, you did exceedingly well. I mean, like especially with now, like, cause how many rounds did you have to play? Is it 13 rounds now?
15.
15.
15. Yeah, it
So
was 15 rounds. I went 11-4. I lost rounds 13 and 14, and I won round 15, which got me 48th.
happy days. Yeah. No, it's kind of crazy to think how many more rounds. Like, did you find it like quite a brain taxing deck, or did you find like a relatively easy to pilot?
It's funny, right? So like this deck, it's one or the other, right? It's like either your hand is like the most autopilot thing ever, where it's like Azuna Holy Seal attributes, and it's like I never have to think ever, or it's like the awkward weird hands where like you might have like one hand drop going second, maybe like an Azuna that you know isn't going to do enough into the board. You might have like a heavy burger just kind of chilling there looking at you, like, and then you have like those hands where it's like I have to figure out a way to play out of these situations, or you might have a hand where it's just Canine or just Vanquish, so it's like okay, how do I get to the other side without losing access to that other engine, right? Because obviously,
Yeah.
if it's just Vanquish Soul into Canine, obviously Ripper's the bridge, right? But
Yeah.
you're using a Holy Sue plus a Joulong to get to that bridge, which then the thing is, how do I get those cards back in rotation now? You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's fair enough. So yeah, and then obviously you did very well to it. How come you think that? Well, obviously you've been playing VS for a while, so probably like the love of your deck is probably why you mainly play that for Bologna. But why do you think like a lot of the pros, so to speak, thought this would be like such a good deck to play into Bologna? Do you what was the reason you thought that it did so well as well at the event?
So like I think it was a very, very, very strong meta call for the event, right? Because Draco Tail has a very difficult time into this deck. And Draco Tail at the time, and probably even still now, to be honest, is the most represented deck, or was the most represented deck for Bologna anyway,
Yeah.
statistically. And I think trying to maximize the odds of having a good matchup into the deck you're most likely to play in Swiss is the best thing to do for an event, right?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, it was kind of like people were looking at it as like a two-horse race, where it's like Draco Tail and Mitsurugi Yomi, right? Mitsurugi Yomi is kind of a weird matchup for this deck. It's still not as bad
Yeah.
as, say, Pure Yomi. Pure Yomi is not your best matchup by any stretch of the imagination, because Mitsurugi Yomi, they weren't respecting Azuna at the time either. So people were just marshmallowing for free, essentially, and like turning on
Yeah. Yeah.
Azuna.
Yeah.
So I think that like that made it a very good meta call because it gave you an extra push into those Mitsurugi Yomi decks in game one, and it just has like a very, 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 very strong Draco Tail match. Like you don't really care about any of the traps, to be honest. Like
Yeah. That makes sense.
Horn at a push, maybe, if even, to be honest.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because yeah, I think there was like I don't have the math in my head, but I remember there's a lot of representation, especially like top 64 wise. So like obviously you've touched on it there, but do you still think this deck is still kind of like variations of Vanquish Soul, however it like kind of continues to grow? Do you reckon this deck will still be the best deck leading up to the next kind of YCSs and stuff?
I think it's hard to know at this point in time, right? Because when's the next event? It's Dortmund for us, right? Which is what, like
February?
February?
Yeah, I
We have
don't
a
know if there's
close.
any American YCSs or not.
I don't think so. Like we have a core set between now and then. We have Burst Protocol,
Yes.
which that set is ridiculous. That set's absurd. Now that set does have the new Canine Monster, which is one of those cards where you read it and you go, "Who printed this?" Um, like why is it Baron de Fleur that's also Black Rose Dragon who did that? Um, so like I think Vanquish Soul, if there's no list, I think Vanquish Soul is still going to be very well positioned for Dortmund, especially with the new Canine support that's coming out. Because I think the new Canine support overshadows the new Yomi support and the new Draco Tail support like significantly, just by virtue of that one card being so ridiculous.
Just looks like a, what would you call it? It looks like it's just going Super Saiyan Hound, basically.
Yeah, so like if you summon it off Force Release, it's like got the effect of the new Dogmatica fusion monster, where it's like it just shuffles 2 cards from graveyard management into deck.
Yeah, it's just insane.
And then if your opponent has a monster effect, it just attaches 2 materials, negate the effect, and then just Black Rose the board.
It's pretty good. Put it that way. It's also
Which has
31, which is I feel like is important as well.
it also has very strong synergy with the Vanquish Soul cards. Because if you resolve Snow Devil or if you have the field spell up, it doesn't nuke the Vanquish Soul monsters. So it then becomes a one-sided Black Rose, which is even crazier.
Yeah, that's it's kind of what you want. But yeah, so I guess that's kind of like leading to my next question. So like, how do you think VSK9 is going to kind of look leading into the next format? Like, as in like deck wise, I know you kind of brushed on how you think like it depends on the balance, but like currently cards in and out, what do you think it will change much?
I don't see Kenan Ripper living very long because that card is absolutely crazy. Like Ripper is just nuts. Like the fact that it's like just an engine piece that's generic, so any 2/5s gets you into full Canine combo, and it negates hand traps, and then it negates the effect, so the Azuna is still alive. Like that card's ridiculous.
Yep.
I think in terms of like if you want to hit like the Vanquish Soul kind of deck specifically, it's probably Jokul is the next card you hit.
Okay.
Just because like Jokul is like, in my opinion, a lot more powerful than Azuna going first. Because like Azuna on its own going first doesn't do anything unless your opponent like Peruli is you or something, right? Then all of a sudden Azuna's full combo.
Yeah.
But if they don't like shotgun a Charmy or like if you don't have like other plays to back the Azuna up that they have to hand trap, the Azuna does nothing. Whereas the Jokul on its own is a play.
Yeah. I mean, you're currently playing 3 in this build, so I mean, makes sense. Like, I guess there's still kind of people floating around with Crush on a little bit. I really don't think it's crazy amounts, but yeah, I think it kind of does so much for so many decks. To be honest with you, like, I guess kind of talking about some of the hits. Then, like, I feel like there's 2 sides to the hits. It's like, what do you imagine will actually happen, and what do you think makes sense? If you know what I mean. Like, as you said, like getting rid of Ripper probably makes sense. Like, bring the deck down. But like, what do you think Konami actually will do? Because sometimes they can just not really slap decks, or they might just kill it for no reason.
Yeah, logical sense is ban Ripper, limit Jokul, in my opinion.
I can see that.
I would like to think that's what Konami are going to do. What I do see happening possibly is they might ban Saryujin, like limit Azuna or something like that, which is like kind of whatever. Like limiting Saryujin is kind of annoying because then like the engines don't bridge kind of at all really.
Yeah.
But then you're just playing pure Canine, which is backed by hand traps. Because if you haven't drawn Microsoft Engine, then like that's what it's backed by. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
logically. I also don't think that like hitting Azuna is reasonable. I don't think Azuna is the problem card like at all. I think Azuna is actually a very interesting card. I think it promotes very interesting interactive game states. So I quite like Azuna in terms of card design. Like on its own as a standalone card, like Azuna with Lupus, I think is like pretty good because like obviously Azuna forces you to play a brick anyway.
Yeah.
Which I think kind of balances it a little bit if you get rid of Ripper out of the format.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because Ripper's so ridiculous. Like it shouldn't be engine plus a negate.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
Um,
yeah, sorry, yeah, Karen.
No, I was just gonna say, like, other than that, like, I think Vanquish Engine, I think, is like, to be honest, at this point, what else are you hitting? Like, I don't think you need to hit anything else.
Yeah, I feel like, I know. If you do too much more, I think the deck just dies really. Because I mean, I've seen a couple people have done their lists last couple of days, and I'm pretty sure like someone said like Holly Suitor one. I think someone threw that out there.
Holly Suitor one without giving back Raz and Stake Your Soul is ridiculous. If you give back Raz and Stake Your Soul, I think Holly Suitor one is reasonable. Yeah, because I think that like part of the reason that everyone thought this deck was so dead coming into the new format was like if you took away 4 starters from this deck that already had very few.
Insane.
Right?
Yeah.
Like this deck is already like got consistency issues. Noroi kind of starts to fix those a little bit by just giving you an additional starter. But again, it's not the same, right? Like obviously, like normal summoning Razin is much more powerful than normal summoning Noroi, in my opinion.
Yeah, makes sense.
it loses to less because like having the Razn in circulation and 10 is all you need, right?
Yeah,
And I think it's reflected as well in the fact that I only played one rock in the Bologna list and played three in the Euros list, right?
yeah. Makes sense. Rock's a good card.
Yeah, it's like fine in the current iteration of Vanquish Soul because like usually like again this deck became a combo deck because of the K-Line cards. So you're
Yeah.
trying to just make the most unbreakable board imaginable. You don't need the follow up that Rock gives you, whereas like the Euros deck was a mid range deck, so you needed the
Yes.
Rock follow up. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Because
like
I mean, the hand trap ratios have changed as well. You're not playing as much hand traps, are you?
there's very few hand traps in this list. Yeah, like rescues cards aren't really hand traps. Shifters obviously like the meme card that's like just game.
Yeah.
Um, and then Fua Asher in like every deck.
Yeah,
This
that makes
deck
sense.
relies on being a high engine deck that beats the other high engine decks in the room. Like it benefits from like Dracotail is like a pretty high engine deck, right?
Yeah.
It benefits from engine to engine Dracotail having a harder time into the Vanquish Soul and the K9 cards.
Okay.
It benefits from like the engine, like even the Azuna and the Holy Sues, like being hand traps as well as being engine, right? That's what
Yeah.
makes this deck so powerful, is that its hand traps are also engine, they're also starters.
Yeah. I mean, getting off turn zero plays with this deck is just kind of game ending sometimes, especially if you have both sides of the engine. It's kind of like, it's just,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
if you resolve a Holy Suit like this, the game ends. Like that's why I prioritize the Charmy so much post side. Is because like my whole idea was like I just want to draw into like the turn zero game cards. Like I
Yeah.
want to be able to slide in like have 9 Charmies in my deck for like pretty much most matchups, and then just like be able to like draw into these turn zero plays that are going to kill my opponent. Like
Yeah, I mean, it makes complete sense. Draw as much as possible, draw all the best cards. I mean, yeah, like you said, consistency lacking as well. So like adding that stuff in is pretty good. Did you find that your consistency was okay for Bologna, and like did you find that the Charmies helped like patch any holes?
consistency was like fine, I guess, right? Like there were a lot of hands that were like awkward, where it's like you might have like one play, you might have like normal summon Jokel, add like a name and hope for the best. You know what I mean? Well,
Yeah,
that's actually that's not even combo actually. But you would have like normal summon Naroi and pray or something like that. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Um, like there were a few hands like that which aren't ideal, obviously. But like most hands, you would have like minimum one play that wasn't as bad as that. It might be like Joker reveal a 5, reveal like Naroi or Azuna or Lantern or whatever,
yeah,
which is still fine. Or you might have like the VS half where it's like you might have like Holy Suit with no attributes, but you might have like a heavy burger in rotation, which could draw you into like the additional attributes you need or something like that. You know what I mean? So like
yeah,
there were awkward hands, but there were never hands where I was like, I flat out just point blank cannot play. There was
yeah,
I think that happened once or twice, but like those hands were like statistical anomalies. It was like multiple copies of Fu, multiple copies of Ash, the trap, you know? Like they were
yeah.
statistical anomalies.
That's fair enough. So like, I guess like the big one is with all the badness talk and stuff. Like K9 likely to be hit. Have you considered like what happens to the deck when K9 gets hit? Does it blow up, or do you think it's still playable?
I think it really depends on what they bring back slash what they do. If they just ban Ripper Limit Jokel, I think this deck is dead. If they don't bring back any of the Vanquish cards, I think this deck doesn't. I think the consistency goes way too low then, because like all of a sudden your Jiaolongs and your Holy Suits don't bridge anymore. Like there are a lot of hands where you might go like Holy Suit reveal Jiaolong, summon the Jiaolong because you've no other play, make a Ripper, and then like all of a sudden you have all the plays in the world.
Yeah,
But if you don't have that, like you're probably just going to have to scoop in a lot of scenarios, right? Because you don't have the Ripper. So what are you making? You're going Nash Knight into Umbral Horror with like 2 bodies. Like that's not good enough.
yeah, I know.
Um, so it's like I think if they just limit Jokel ban Ripper, I think that this deck is dead completely. I don't think there's any way back for it. If they limit Jokel ban Ripper and give back some number of Razens, then I can see a world where it continues to exist. Yeah.
It's interesting. It's like you can debate a lot on it, I suppose, because the deck's like relatively old when you think about like the first release, and I know sometimes Konami likes to kind of like they'll murder a deck just for like a business sake, just to like say like push the new set. So in the back of my head, I'm kind of like, are they just gonna completely because it's older than Yummy and it's older than I think it's older than all the kind of current decks at the moment, isn't it? But like, I wonder if they'll kill it from a business point of view, so people stop playing DS and they move on to new stuff. Like that's
Yeah,
kind of in the back of my head.
Vanquish came out in like 2023. Like
Oh,
that deck
that
is
old?
old.
Yeah,
That deck is old. Yeah, that deck came out in Valiant Smashers. Like that deck came out the
crazy.
same deck build set as Centurion, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that's why I didn't realize it was that old. That's kind of
Oh wait,
mental.
no, it's Wild Survivor, sorry. No, is it? One of them anyway, I mix the two of them up all the time, but one of them
No,
is
you're
Wild
good.
Survivors and one of them is Valiant Smashers between it and Centurion, and they were both within like a couple of months of each other. So that's how old the deck is.
Yeah, so it kind of makes sense that like at a certain point that VS just kind of does die from a business point of view. But then
That was the initial hits, right? Like that's why, like when the
yeah,
Canine cards, like when Canine Vanquish was like so aggressively popular, and why when it was doing so well, I think it was partly because it had such a disproportionate amount of success at Euros, right? Because
yeah,
like that was pre Canine cards,
yeah,
so like that showed that like the deck on its own, the engine was like still strong enough because like Holy Sue is like probably one of the best pieces of legacy support they've ever printed. I don't know
yes,
what they were
insane.
doing. That card is disgusting.
Yep.
Um, so like that showed that like the deck is still completely functional from a point of view of even without the Canine cards, it's still busted. So that gave them an excuse. That gave them like, I suppose, in Konami's mind, a justification for hitting the older archetype, leaving the Canine cards untouched. Because like,
Yeah.
if you look at that list, to be fair, like what else did they hit? They limited Obedient School, limited Herald, left Draco Tail completely alone. Like that
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
in my mind at the time it was fine to see how the Canine cards developed, but as they developed, it become more and more toxic.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if they're gonna like leave K9 alone a little bit because they've got a new card coming. Well, maybe not like a little bit, but as in like you said, like a smaller hit to the K9 package, something that's kind of like irrelevant. Is there anything you think we missed at all, or anything interesting about the deck you want to go over? So
I think this deck is like, I don't know if I'd recommend it as like if you're a new player picking up the game, like as a deck you should learn, just because like there's a lot of like small intricacies. Like if you read all the Vanquish ones are like blocks of text. Like they're
yeah,
all
I mean,
they're all like TCs. Like they're crazy. Like they all have like multiple effects. They all have like multiple effects that are relevant. Like the Caesar turning himself into towers, that comes up. But like if you're new to the deck and the format, like you might not know that. So you
yeah,
might just read him and say, oh, he's just big. Or even like the Burger Burn, like in simplified games, it's like Burger burning your opponent twice, just burning them down by 3k every turn is like just very, very powerful.
oh man, I mean that's insane, really, because there's something else that burns, isn't it? Like the trap burns.
Trap burns for
Or-
18, yeah, if you reveal all three attributes. Or if you reveal one, it's 400, if you reveal two, it's 1000.
So I mean, you can deal a lot of that. Like, it's funny to think like you can literally don't even have to kill this deck. You just need to get round to not even your turn. You have to just wait to your opponents, and you can just make sure you burn a couple of times, and and you win.
Yeah, there was like a pseudo FTK quotation marks that was really, really terrible for a while. Where it was like you'd Burger burn them, you'd make Umbral Horror, they'd activate a monster effect, they'd get half down to 3250. You'd Burger burn them again, you'd trap burn them for game. But like that was awful. Like that was the worst FTK of all time. It was funny though. I did it once.
Who comes up with this stuff? That's yeah, funny, but yeah, no. So yeah, I guess yeah, it's not beginner's deck, but then like, do you feel like the skill expression on this deck though is like a big part of the thing that makes it so enjoyable, especially for yourself?
At the higher levels, for sure. Yeah, I think that I think this deck is kind of variance turbo to a point, right? Like again, like that's what I was saying with the whole like
Yeah,
some hands are very different, some hands are awkward, some hands are like normal summon Lantern, hope for the best. And then some
yeah,
hands
yeah,
are like Holy Suit attribute to Zuna, and it's like the game never mattered. You might as well have been playing a different game, like you were playing blackjack at that point, like
yeah,
when you drew
yeah, yeah,
21. Um like so I think knowing how to use your card effects correctly and knowing when to hold things and when it's correct to maybe not summon Raisin off Holy Suit, or when it's not correct to add Caesar off Raisin or add Burger off Raisin or something like that. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like knowing those kind of interactions, or like how to play into Charmies mainly. I think that's when this deck shines in terms of technical play.
Okay,
Um, like at Bologna, I played against Paulo Gonçalves,
okay,
and game one he foos me, and I end on like Ripper, Izuna, Lupus, and I win that game. Game two, just full self core Yomiko or full self Yomiko, and I just lose immediately. Game three, he Perulies me, and I end on like Holy Two Mad Love, Field Spell, Trap Set with all attributes in hand, and I win that game as well. So
yeah,
it's like knowing how to play into the cards where it's like obviously Peruly is better into like, well, Peruly's good into both halves of the engine, right?
yeah.
But like I gave him I think one draw off the Peruly, which was the Holy Two, rather than giving him many draws off the Canine half of the engine. I had an Azuna and I had a Jokel in my hand, but I was like, I just don't need to use these yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you have every
So
attribute, you have all the setup you need, I suppose.
exactly. Like it was once the field spell went through to get me the final attribute I needed to get me the fire in my hand. I was like, okay, well now it's fine.
Yeah,
Um, so it's those kind of interactions like where it's like recognizing how to play into boards and how to play into like Charmies and that kind of thing. That's when this deck shines technical play wise. Going first is just a combo deck that kills your opponent most times, to be honest.
yeah, makes sense. I mean, the deck's just really solid. I think it's
It's
also
very
it feels fun. I've never been able to like bring my brain to play this. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a lot of like tracking things, like you said. Like I mean, look at the text on some of these cards. It's insane.
There's a
Like,
lot of words in them. Like even the Mad Love bounce comes up a lot. Like where you might go like Holy to someone Mad Love, add Raisin off of field spell, normal summon the Raisin. Then you go Mad Love Real Dark Earths to bounce the Raisin. Because it's the monster on the field with the lowest defense. So rather than having to make a rock to add back, you can just like bounce the Raisin and then just like keep the rock in extra deck. Like
that's,
even that's like
yeah.
such a minute thing. Or like I won a game at Euros because I went like Mad Reveal Dark, make a guy small, summon Jowlong from my hand, switch that guy to attack, make a Typhon over the Jowlong, and then that swung for game.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's
Like
so
these are
many
like
small little like nuggets that you can like just kind of like need to know to be able to like get these like big things. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
yeah, these are like minute things, right? Like even like I got Book of Eclipse to one point, and I went like chain a guy revealing Jowlong. So the
Hmm.
Jowlong summoned on a new chain, and he can flip things face up again. Like to change battle positions, like he can change things to face up attack from set. So that let me keep playing.
That's kind of wild. Yeah, that's very niche. Can't believe that
It,
that came
it
up.
a lot of the stuff is like incredibly niche. Like there were like sometimes even like Rescuer's Impulse, right? Like you can normal summon him and then just turn off the guy they have with the highest attack. Like there's so many like little small, tiny, tiny, tiny little effects that like this deck has um that like your opponent can lose to. Or
Yeah,
that like you can get out of unwinnable game sets with these effects.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, did you have so like I did like YCS Bologna then. Um, like, what were most of your matchups there? Did you find it was very Draco Tail heavy, like everyone kind of predicted, and did you find like a lot of these kind of intricate moments really helped you to get wins, or did you find that your deck kind of blew most of them out?
So like shockingly, a lot of my games were actually like yummy variants. Like I played two Draco Tail and all the Swiss.
Interesting.
Um How many? I actually have my full match report here. So it was like pure
Okay.
yummy. That was a double game loss. The guy. Um, yeah, that I don't know what that guy was thinking. I'd resolved the trap card. I had a Caesar that hadn't been used, and he was insisting he could kill through it, and 5 additional bodies, and I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. So that was a double loss. Then
That's
Memento, Mitsuyomi, Mitsuyomi, Mitsuyomi,
jeez.
Crystron Yomi, Pure Yomi, Solfa Yomi, the Mirror, then Draco Tail, White Forest, Mitsuyomi, Draco Tail, Malice, Mirror. So I played two mirrors, two Draco Tail, one White Forest, one Memento, and then 8 Yummy variants
That's
and a
wild.
Malice.
Okay.
So it was a lot of Yummy. I think
Yeah.
also I just kind of like got unlucky though because like Draco Tail was the most rep deck. I think also though it just kind of got. I think it got blown out early on by the amount of Vanquish that was in the room, or the amount of
Yeah.
Vanquish that was like performing in the room. So I think a lot of people were more aware of Vanquish than maybe I might have expected there to be.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I remember seeing like on the day, like a few people were like putting up shorts in the morning, being like, "Oh, what deck do you think is going to win the YCS?" And everybody was talking about Vanquish. And I remember sitting there going, "Oh, someone's cooked something. Someone's realized something here." And it's going to be kind of like one of those moments where it's like something clicks and the format changes again. And then obviously, yeah, Dracotail just blew up. And well, Vanquish took off, I suppose, really, rather than Dracotail blew up.
Well, a big thing as well, right, is like um when deciding on a deck for format, you need to figure out what's going to beat the best deck, or
Yeah.
well, the most represented deck, which isn't necessarily always the best deck, right? Like for example,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Drake's was ever the best deck.
Yeah.
Um, but knowing going in that like Drake's be the most rep deck and going, okay, what deck in the format is feasibly the most playable that has the best Draco Tail matchup? And I was like Vanquish for a while, and everyone was like, the consistency though, like I'm not sure. And then people realized it wasn't actually that inconsistent of a deck. Like it has consistency issues, yes, that's undeniable. But the thing is, so does every other deck in the format. Like Mitsuyomi has consistency issues, Draco has consistency issues. Like
Yeah.
so, if it was in a format where like there's this hyper consistent, unbelievable, mega crazy deck, then sure. Like Pure Yomi performed quite well at Bologna because it's so hyper consistent and its Vanquish matchup's really good.
Yeah.
So it's all about the meta calls you make, right? And it's like the guy that came second, Alessandro, he made the meta call that he was going to play against a lot of Vanquish on the day, and he did, and he
Yeah.
beat most of them. Um, Whereas like the Vanquish guy Pierre, who won the whole event, he made the meta call he's going to play a lot of Draco, which I'm assuming he did, and then he beat all of them, hence winning the whole event.
Yeah.
So it's interesting seeing those meta calls, right, and seeing how I think it was one Draco Tail in top 8, right? If even. Yeah, so there was one Draco Tail in top 8. Like that's crazy. For the amount of representation that deck had, that's crazy.
Yeah. I think it's kind of wild.
Like that was 21% of all decks that entered the event, like. and one of them made it to top 8. Like that's an abysmal conversion. Like
See, I wonder if
Vanquish, I think was like 7%.
this will contribute to it getting banned as well. Like the fact that like the last YCS probably before or potentially before the ban list could maybe result in it getting a slap, or maybe they could be thinking about it because of that ban, because of it. Like, oh, because it was two
Well, it
as well,
probably won't
yeah.
help. They probably won't help. Like for sure. Like there was like 2 of the top 8 was Vanquish Canine, and one of them was like, I suppose, depending on who you ask, the greatest player to ever play Yu-Gi-Oh. So like that's a sign that like there was something there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do think this deck's probably gonna get hit again. The question just becomes how hard. If they hit it as hard as I expect them to, this deck is not going to be playable anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, then it kind of comes like rest in peace, really. But it'll be very interesting to see. It's hard to predict Nami and the way they'll go with it.
They're very volatile in what they decide to do, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and then I really didn't expect that emergency ban list. I really thought it was gonna continue to go because that's another adaptation for a wee while there. It was going for Mjolnir lock, which was that was. Did you find that very pleasant when you had to play that?
No, that was horrendous. That emergency banus was one of the best things they ever did for the game.
I agree.
Because like if you weren't Mjolnir locking, then like you were summoning some other form of floodgate, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
like they banned all the various statues, they banned Protoss, they forgot Eschatos, because of course they did. They somehow forgot Eschatos and the water barrier statue, which that one's really weird to me. They hit all the barrier statues except the water one. I don't know why they missed that one, because that one's the one that's like been
Yes, actually
probably the
seeing
most
play.
toxic historically in the last year or so because of
Yeah.
Mermail.
Yeah.
So it's like, how did you miss that one? You know,
It
the one
doesn't make
that's
sense that.
done the most, but like I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I don't know. Maybe I can't see them hitting Mermail. To be honest, it would make sense for them to just like if they're gonna ban the barrier statues, they should just ban all of them. Especially, yeah, like it's literally the one seeing the most play. It makes no sense to me, but
Yeah, like those are cards that were printed in like 2000 and what 10, and they were like never playable then, and then like they became searchable, and all of a sudden they're insane.
yeah, because Fossil Dino got hit as well, or am I hallucinating?
Dyna got banned, yeah, they banned
Dino got
Dyna
banned,
as well
yeah.
because people were doing Gallon Granite in their Mystery
Yes,
decks. They were just searching
that
Dyna and
was
just
it.
normal summoning it at the end of their combos. I think that was like kind of bad, but like people were doing it.
Yeah, it was existing, and I guess it's like not allowing you to like show skill. You're not allowed to like play the game if someone just does that. So it's kind of like, yeah,
Exactly, right? Like it was like if you saw your Mystery opponent like make Granite, it was like you had to take the gamble of, okay, are they going to search Nibiru off this, or are they going to search Fossil Dino off this? And I lose to
yeah.
one and I'm fine with the other one, and it just depended on what you were playing, which one was which.
I think it made your hand traps really like weird and like you get punished really hard. I feel like so yeah, no, it felt weird. I remember like even last Nats there was still like a lot of this kind of like what was it? It was the you were just talking about. It's not Eschatos. What's the other one? The one that just
Protoss.
yes, with the Protoss lot going around and stuff like that. There's always so many of them. You never know where to like hand trap. You don't know where to panic. I remember we were all sat around that testing circle thinking like, oh, do we all play like imperms because there's gonna be a million Protoss locks today, or like how do we like think about it here? I think I don't know. Taking away it takes away so much skill expression and like it can just auto win a game when it shouldn't. I mean, like the big one to me is I get bullied a lot for this, but I find it really funny siding triple trap trick and triple featherstorm. So
Oh, that's a dubious thing to admit on camera.
it's it's only just to cause pain, right? But no,
Reasonable.
but like it's something that shouldn't be allowed to exist. Do you know what I mean? Like that card literally says your opponent cannot play the turn. Like you just cannot do anything.
Yeah, like it's
Um,
skill drain everywhere if you make a Castel
yeah,
just chilling
yeah.
on your board. Like
It's so crazy. It just shouldn't be allowed to exist, especially like, and well, with a deck like Flu, that's like really full power. Like it's, and I mean, there's like a Radiant Typhoon is seeing some play, and I don't know how it will shape up in the next format, but like a strong deck like that, if it like banless hits very hard, and being able to play with Featherstorm is dubious. I can already see problems with that if the ban come down to like you said, like Vanquish Soul gets slapped so hard, and uh, Herald gets hit, and like all that sort of stuff. Like other decks come in contention, and then you floodgates maybe become prominent, and then it's the same cycle again. It's kind of worrying to me personally.
yeah, like my biggest issue with like Featherstorm and those kind of cards is like cards that are like searchable like that. Like even like I know like Thrust is the way you search it, but like what are you gonna do? Like not hand trap your Onomat Ryziel opponent?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
like you're
exactly.
gonna hand trap him. Um, at least Featherstorm was like got the kind of funny thing of like you can lose to like your opponent normal summoning a Fua and passing. Like that's the only good thing I can say about that card, which is like that's not even a good thing. You shouldn't lose to that.
Yeah, Yeah, because I remember seeing like there was a YCS where like Charlie Futch, I think that's his name, but like he set up like the Castell board, but I still think he lost because he went for the Featherstorm lot rather than like setting up a proper board because he had no like follow up. So I guess it's like if there's decks like that have no follow up, but when they're actually like wing based in the deck, then it's kind of like ooh. But yeah, I agree. A lot of these cards should just
The win con in
die.
the earlier rounds, right, with like those kind of cards is like if you make Castell and like you've nothing else, if you Featherstorm your opponent, he might just get so mad he scoops anyway. Because he's looking at his 5 card hand, he knows he can't do anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Obviously as it gets into later rounds, like people will start playing it out because there's a good chance that like they'll know that your opponent either has everything or nothing.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I think especially like I remember if he was in top 8, so I imagine they get time extension. You get time extension in top 8. No, yeah, top 8 is like free time now, isn't it? There's no time restrictions at all.
Top 8 is untimed, yeah. It's
Yeah.
completely untimed.
So yeah, no, becomes interesting there. But yeah, any other thoughts then on Vanquish Soul? Just anything in general? Any like nuggets of gold as we were saying?
No major thoughts currently. I think the format's in like a pretty good spot. I think there's like a few issues they have to address. I think that like Mitsuki cards and Yomi cards shouldn't be able to bridge. I think that's absurd.
Agreed.
I think that they've done a good job at eliminating floodgates from the format, which I like.
Yep.
For the most part, obviously, like we were talking about, there's a few that are still in the format. Shifter should not exist in any
Agreed.
form.
Yeah.
Like cards like that, like Droll is an issue. Droll will continue to be an issue. I'd like to see that card get hit at some stage because
See,
again, cards that just say you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh shouldn't exist in my opinion.
I
But
said this and I got called a Yu-Gi-Oh boomer the other day. So I
nah,
see.
any cards that like say you cannot play Yu-Gi-Oh to your opponent shouldn't exist. Like again, I'm very hard line on this though, right? Like any hand traps that apply a lingering condition on the game state, I think are cards that shouldn't exist. I think hand traps should most of the time trade 1 for 1. Nibiru is kind of an exception to the rule, right? Where it's like that card can trade with multiple cards and still be fine because like your opponent's to play into it, and most decks generally have an out to it, so
Yeah.
it's like fine.
I think the Fearmonger of
But
that
like
checks so much decks, to be honest.
yeah, but like cards like Droll and Awkward, where like there's very limited ways to play around it. Like even for Euros, right? Like Mitsurugi Raiju was the best deck. If you draw that deck half time, it just exploded.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it was fine, but sometimes it was like Detonator in a Dream, or sometimes it was like Murakumo Prayers in the Dream. You know, like
Yeah, yeah.
which like that completely like just nerfed that entire deck into the ground. So I think rather than I've heard a lot of people say like, oh well, Droll is like a necessary evil for the cards in the format. It's like here's an idea: print worse cards, like print decks that aren't these incredibly powerful decks that like do as much as these other decks do.
Yeah, bring the
And
ceiling
then you won't
down.
need a card like Droll in the format, right?
I agree with that. No, it becomes interesting. Like, put it that way. Yeah, I agree with you though. So shout out to people who said I was a Yu-Gi-Oh boomer. See, I am right.
Unlucky those guys.
But yeah, awesome then. In which case, yeah, thank you very much for all your thoughts, especially like the Vanquish Soul, like kind of all your insights and stuff. I'm hoping your deck survives to like a nice way and not still crazy good. But yeah, any shout outs or anything you want to do to any people?
Shout outs to like the Cork Yu-Gi community as a whole, I suppose. Shout outs to WAF. So like pretty much everyone in that testing circle. Well, it's kind of just a group of friends now. It was a testing circle over COVID more than anything. Shout outs to the S7 testing group. That's Aaron, Aditya, bunch of the other NA guys. They'll all flame me for forgetting them. Rehan, they'll all flame me for forgetting them anyway. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Shout outs to all those guys, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.